What's more painful than unrequited love? That hollow ache when you see them laugh at someone else's joke. The way your name sounds different on their lips than the way they say hers. The silent prayers that someday they'll see you, really see you. Today's story might just heal something in you that you didn't know was broken. This is Emma's story. She loved Jake for 10 years while he looked right through her. But sometimes the universe has a way of bringing things full circle when you least expect it. Emma first met Jake during freshman orientation at UCLA in 2013. Remember those days? When possibilities felt endless and heartbreak seemed like something that only happened in the movies. He was sitting alone at the campus Starbucks, Emma would later tell her friends. With his AirPods in, completely lost in his own world. I noticed his vintage Nikon camera and somehow, with my heart in my throat, found the courage to ask about it. That brief conversation, 5 minutes at most, was enough to plant a seed in Emma's heart. A seed that would grow quietly for years, watered by stolen glances and late-night text conversations that never quite crossed the line into something more. But to Jake, she was just another face in his expanding college circle. Someone he'd double-tap on Instagram without a second thought. Someone whose name he'd sometimes mix up with another classmate's. They ended up in the same friend group, you know how it goes. The kind where everyone hangs out at the same apartment on Friday nights, ordering too much pizza and arguing about what to watch on Netflix. This meant Emma had plenty of opportunities to memorize everything about Jake, storing away details like precious souvenirs. After graduation, life took them in different directions. Emma pursued her master's degree in architecture at Columbia, while Jake traveled across America documenting national parks for a growing Instagram following. But through mutual friends and social media, Emma kept tabs on him. She congratulated him on his features in National Geographic. She liked his travel posts. Once, she even anonymously purchased one of his prints, a stunning shot of Yosemite at dawn that reminded her of the weekend trip they'd all taken during spring break senior year. When Jake returned to Los Angeles 3 years later, their paths crossed again. He'd opened a small photography studio in Silver Lake, and by coincidence, it was just 2 blocks from the architecture firm where Emma worked in Echo Park. Sometimes she'd walk past his studio, pretending it was on her way to that trendy new matcha place everyone was talking about on TikTok, hoping to catch a glimpse of him. Occasionally, she'd gather the courage to stop in, making up a story about needing professional headshots for LinkedIn, spending money she didn't have just for 30 minutes of his undivided attention. It's great to see a familiar face from college, Jake would say, always friendly but never seeing the way her fingers trembled slightly when she handed him her credit card or how she'd practiced what to say in the mirror that morning. Their friend Olivia once asked her over bottomless mimosas at their favorite brunch spot on Abbot Kinney, "Why don't you just tell him how you feel?" "We're almost 30, Em. Life's too short for this rom-com pining." Emma's response was always the same, delivered with a laugh that didn't quite reach her eyes and risk ruining the friendship we have. "I'd rather have him in my life this way than not at all." But the truth was more complicated, the kind of complicated that keeps you up at 3 a.m. scrolling through old text messages. Years of watching him date models and influencers had convinced Emma that she wasn't his type. She'd seen his girlfriends come and go, all stunning, all effortlessly cool, all with Instagram aesthetics, so perfect they looked curated by algorithms. Emma was the reliable friend, the good listener, the one who remembered everyone's birthdays and brought soup when they had the flu. Not the exciting, Instagram-perfect women Jake seemed drawn to like moths to flame, only to get burned every time. "He always calls me after every breakup," she told her therapist during one session. "He tells me I'm the only one who really gets him, but never enough to actually see me." The turning point came at Olivia's destination wedding in Napa Valley. You know the kind where everything costs 3 times what it should and the bride has a Pinterest board for every detail down to the napkin folds. Emma was a bridesmaid, of course, she was always the bridesmaid, a thought that stung more than she'd admit as she hit her late 20s and watched friends pair off one by one. Jake was photographing the event as a gift to the couple. His career had taken off enough that this gift was worth thousands. Emma had spent the morning helping Olivia prepare in the Vineyard Estates bridal suite, calming her pre-wedding jitters, fixing last-minute wardrobe malfunctions, and making sure everything was Instagram perfect. By the time guests started arriving for the sunset ceremony, she was exhausted but doing what she always did, putting everyone else first. She didn't notice Jake watching her through his camera lens as she adjusted Olivia's veil one last time. She didn't see the way his expression changed when he captured a moment of her laughing with the other bridesmaids, golden California light making her glow in a way he'd never noticed before. She didn't know that while she'd spent years studying him, he was finally seeing her. Later, during the reception in the fairy light decorated barn, after she'd made sure the elderly relatives had rides home and the bride's sister wouldn't embarrass herself with that fourth glass of champagne, Emma finally sat down, feet aching in the bridesmaid heels she'd never wear again. That's when Jake approached her table, camera hanging around his neck like always, but something different in his eyes. "You haven't stopped all day," he said, sliding into the seat next to her. "Always taking care of everyone else. That's so you." His voice caught slightly on the last word, as if he was realizing something for the first time. It was the first time in years he'd sought her out specifically, not to show her a photo or ask about a mutual friend, but just to be near her. When the band started playing the John Legend song, "You Know the one that was in every wedding in 2014, Jake surprised her by offering his hand. Even the photographer deserves one dance, right? For 4 minutes and 30 seconds, the length of the song that seemed written for this moment, Emma felt like the universe had finally aligned. His hand on her waist, her heart racing so loudly she was sure he could hear it above the music. 9 years of longing condensed into one dance, one moment, one touch. "You look beautiful tonight," he said, and for once his eyes weren't looking past her to something or someone else. "Have you always been this beautiful and I just missed it?" The question hung between them like a fragile bubble, neither daring to pop it. The next morning, nursing a champagne headache and the emotional whiplash of hoping but not hoping too much, Emma was helping clean up the wedding venue when her phone buzzed with a text from Jake. Text message notification sound. "Got some amazing shots from yesterday. Want to grab coffee and see them? Just you and me this time. Just you and me this time." 5 words that made her drop her phone into her purse of leftover wedding cake. Coffee turned into lunch. Lunch turned into a walk through the vineyard where tourists were taking photos of the same views that had witnessed Olivia's vows just a day earlier. And somewhere between the second glass of wine and sunset, Jake said something that stopped Emma's heart. "I was looking through all my photos last night, couldn't sleep after our dance," he started, fidgeting with his camera strap the way he did when he was nervous. "And I realized something strange. You're in so many of them. Not just from the wedding. From college. From group trips. It's like my camera always found you even when I didn't realize I was looking." That evening, sitting on the terrace of the Vineyards restaurant as the sun painted the sky in shades of pink that no filter could improve, Jake showed her a folder on his laptop. The Emma Collection, he called it. Hundreds of photos spanning 10 years. Her laughing. Her focused on a book in the UCLA library, chewing on her pen cap. Her helping a friend move apartments. Her asleep in the back seat on a road trip to San Francisco, face pressed against the window. "I never realized until I saw all these pictures together," he said quietly, voice barely audible above the clinking of wine glasses from nearby tables. "I've been seeing you all along. I just didn't know I was looking. How could I have been so blind?" Emma's heart was beating so hard she felt lightheaded. 10 years of wanting someone to see you, and when they finally do, you don't know what to say. "Maybe you weren't ready to see me yet," she finally whispered, surprising herself with her honesty. "Maybe I wasn't ready to be seen." Back in Los Angeles, things changed slowly and then all at once, the way autumn turns to winter in places with actual seasons. Coffee dates became regular. Inside jokes formed. Texts became calls that lasted until 3 a.m. when both had to be up for work the next morning. Emma kept waiting for it to fall apart, for him to realize she wasn't like the Instagram models he usually dated, for the other shoe to drop the way it always had before. But instead, one evening as they walked along Venice Beach at sunset, dodging rollerbladers and tourists, Emma found her courage. Maybe it was the way he'd held her hand all afternoon without seeming to think about it. Maybe it was turning 30 next month and realizing life was too short. Maybe it was just time. "I need to tell you something," she said, heart pounding against her ribs like it was trying to escape. "I've been in love with you for 10 years. The silence that followed lasted only seconds, but to Emma, it felt like another decade compressed into a heartbeat. This was it, the moment everything would change, for better or worse. No going back to the safety of unrequited longing. Then Jake laughed, not mockingly, but with wonder and something like relief washing over his face. 10 years? God, I'm such an idiot. I've wasted so much time looking for something I didn't realize was right in front of me." He pulled out his camera, the same vintage Nikon she had asked about that first day at UCLA, now worn with use and travel. "This camera has been capturing you for a decade. but I've only been truly seeing you for a few months. Can you forgive me for being so blind for so long? That night, under the stars, 10 years of unspoken love finally found its voice. And when he kissed her, it wasn't like the movies or romance novels. It was better because it was real, and it was them, and it had been worth the wait. Sometimes love isn't about grand gestures or love at first sight. Sometimes it's about patience, about loving someone quietly for years, about being the person who remembers how they take their coffee and what makes them smile on bad days. Emma loved Jake for 10 years before he noticed her. But when he finally did, really saw her, he discovered that what he'd been searching for had been there all along. Not all love stories happen in an instant. Some take time, some take patience, and some, like Emma and Jake's, take exactly 10 years to begin.